I'm going to speak in English, so don't worry. You don't need your headphones and all that. So everybody can hear me? Great. Sorry for the delay, first of all. And like me, you know, we came a little late, but better late than nothing. My name is Mohammed Dorani. I'm from Qatar. And I've been in the IT business for such a long time, over 30 years maybe, more than that. And my education is, I'm an accountant, bachelor degree in accountancy from Arab Beirut University. And then I went to the States. Of course, you know, all government scholarship, thank God. And so I got my MBA. That was in finance and investment, University of San Francisco. And at that time, I was employed by the Ministry of Finance. I was the head of the computer department. But then they wanted me to finish I wanted to really continue finishing my education. My parents are, I would say, semi-illiterate. We are 11 children, so imagine that. I'm the eldest son. I have an eldest sister. And 3 of them in the army, so they are generals, captain. I wanted to finish my education, probably the first in Qatar to finish at a younger age. So I did get my PhD. I went to Wharton School of Business after my MBA, which is one of the best schools in business. I think it's the top business school in America. But then I was in a program called Operation Research, which is, you know, a lot of mathematics and modeling, and I like that. But I wanted more in IT business. At that time, in the 80s, the internet was not spread yet, but the IT was getting, you know, important to the industry. So I transferred to George Washington University. They had a better program and better weather than Philadelphia. So I got my PhD at the age of 30. Don't ask me my age now. But that was one of the youngest at that time. I think one of the youngest Qataris to obtain a PhD. So that's just a brief background of my education. My PhD is in IT and telecommunications, so I combine both of them. I don't want to go over my CV, it's a long one, and I don't want to talk about my work experience. This is a long one also. So today, I want to discuss a very important subject, and you're probably interested in it. And I've been involved in it for the past 10 years almost, and I think it's getting hot and hotter, and one of the most important subjects in the IT industry at this moment. I assume from the audience that some of you know what is cybersecurity and what is the topic we are talking about today. However, from the books I wrote 2 books, and you will see them at the end of the slides. And they were focused on the GCC countries, which were the first books to be written in English, of course. They are available on Amazon. And I thought that cybersecurity would be very, very important, especially relevant to the GCC countries and to our countries. And so I focused on that, and I taught the subject, and as soon as community college in Qatar, one of the first colleges, launched the bachelor degree program in cybersecurity, I was asked to head the program, and I'm still there. Now, what I'm going to speak about is about the importance of cyber attacks and on infrastructure. I don't know if you know what the word infrastructure means, but anything that is critical to our daily life that we cannot live without it. And this is just a definition of what we expect. We call them, malware. Malware is a group of viruses and worms, and of course, depending on the mission and the way that the computer code is written and the objective of it, it can cause really serious damage to any network system and any infrastructure. The three major, probably, groups of viruses and worms that we have to care about and worry about: the Trojan horse, the backdoors, and the denial of services. These are happening now and continuing and increasing tremendously, actually. I'm going to go fast because my presentation is a little long. However, I know that there are other speakers behind me and we started late. But forgive me if I move fast and maybe I will skip slide or two. I'm sure you will have a question later on, you can ask me. Now, I call this is the new weapon. As you know, we are in a defense and security exhibition. Many of the systems and tools and equipment around related to weaponry. And I think when it comes to physical one, you would know it, you know what it is. But we don't know when it comes to non-physical, digital. That is where the destruction and the weapon takes a different shape and different environment. The numbers of cyber attacks from those countries that are obtain the tools, like any, even physically, if you have the technology and you have the equipment and you have the capabilities of launching a war, I think you can do it with the cyber attacks. Would you agree? I mean, I think that you can. And this is the new trend now. Major budgeting when it comes to defense and security allocated right now to cyber attacks. In fact, if you see the departments and the units within the security, they are hiring more, they are investing more and buying more tools. And on the other hand, there is a shortage of skilled people to carry out such a mission. Imagine if you buy $40 billion of equipment, hardware-wise, I'm talking. Half of that equipment is electronic-based, we call it electronic warfare. You need to know, because now they are equipped with the latest technologies that they can launch cyber attacks from that, through those equipment. Now, when I talk, because I'm a Qatari, I have to mention some of those things. For you, because you are probably not familiar with Qatar, when you come in here and you are coming here to display what you have in terms of technologies and equipment, we do have a very, robust defenses. I would say the strategy is already there. We have a national cyber strategy. We already, I think, had it for a long time, maybe over 5 years, 15 years, at least 10 years. I think we're having the second national cyber strategy. I think the first one, you can see it on the website of the Ministry of Communication and Transport. The various governments in Qatar are trying as much as they can to purchase, equip, and hire the skilled people to protect their infrastructure. Now, their infrastructure, that we call it critical infrastructure, and I think we have 17 or 18 of them, they are kind of well protected in a way and connected to the Ministry of Interior and various agencies. And trying, because these are critical infrastructure that if anything happened, we cannot afford as a small country to be, in a weak position. And as we speak, daily right now, there are hundreds of those cyber attacks on this infrastructure. Some of them might succeed and some of them don't. But Qatar has a very robust strategy and a very good defense mechanism. They have, because money is no object, right? So we can buy the best tools, we can buy the best defenses. However, as I always say, it's not guaranteed. There is no, if somebody tells me, are you 100% protected? I think the answer is obvious. If you know the industry, if you know what you are preaching about and what you're talking about, you can say no. There's nothing 100% secure. I know companies would like to tell you this, but it is not true. What you can do is to try to minimize as much as you can. As much as you can to reduce the danger of such a cyber attack. So there were some initiatives in Qatar, for example, the creation, which I called for it 6 years ago, sorry, to create what we call a national command and control center. The industrial world, the advanced countries, they have done this. And we are late coming in, but I think the direction is there. There's an agency now, a national security agency has been launched. And I'm sure they will go to that direction right now. Well, ministries right now are trying to, it's not 100% you cannot access the internet, right? I would say 90% of your attack is coming from the internet. Wouldn't you agree? However, there are limitations as far as who can access the internet and what you receive and what you can send. So some ministries who are sensitive and they have critical databases, they are not going to allow you to access from your workstation and from your laptop. If you are within the organization, you might receive some emails by going through a specific firewalls. However, that's a good policy. I'm sure the network manager is looking at this stage, seeing what is open ports, what is this, all kind of technical aspect. And this is the danger of the internet. Great things coming from the internet, but then there are bad things also coming. So as I said, the Community College of Qatar is the first college to do the bachelor's degree. Now, Hamad bin Khalifa, which is another university at the Qatar Foundation, they are offering master in cybersecurity, which is a good thing. Now, when I wrote my books, I called a cyber war. Because if you say a war, the term war means that one country attacking another country, right? One country causing a damage to another country. And if that happened, what do you call it? It's a declaration of war. I would think so, right? Especially if the damage is so great that not only we're talking financial, but could cause death. And probably you know the cases what happened with the WannaCry and DataCry and all that, the ransomware, when the hospitals in the UK were shut down. A major operation that critical life or death was postponed. And imagine what will happen there. So I call it a war. Some people don't like to use that term. So let's take a case study, because I believe whenever I speak, a lot of people say, well, you're talking sometimes gibberish, and we don't understand what you're saying. What you're saying is general, it doesn't stick. Okay, let me bring you a case. This case caused a major major disaster for a country, my country like Qatar, you know. I'll call it disaster because it's really the consequences was huge. Let me talk about the case, and you know what the consequences later on will happen. So, in order to launch a cyber war, well, let's just step back. In order to launch a cyber attack, and that you have an agenda, of course. What's your agenda? So, and the virus that's written is written to carry a specific mission. It's like you launching a missile or dropping a bomb. You have a mission. You have to cause certain damage. So, in the case of Qatar News Agency, QNA, which is, if nobody knows what it is, it's the spoke mouth of Qatar to the world. Like this event now, you will see it there on their website. It's announced daily. Any news publishing, anything has to do with the country, it's like a broadcasting the latest events and news in Qatar. So, the reason is that, and the scenario goes like this. It started with the first, there was a summit in Riyadh, if you don't know, the Islamic summit that Trump attended, and our finest emir was there also. I think that was before May, early. And at that summit, nobody even felt there will be anything wrong. In May 2017. Everything is normal. The GCC countries are, greeting each other, the head of the states, they are happy, everybody is talking to each other. All the Islamic countries were there, so nothing out of normal. Everything is perfect, Very successful event. And Trump spoke there, and everything went fine. So, next thing we know, in the middle of Ramadan, which is, I think, was May, don't remember the exact date, there was a launch of a video that this video was launched and broadcasted on the website of Q&A. Now, it came out of the blue. It was 12 midnight, everybody was sleeping, and even the network manager, I think, was not on call at that day, at that Q&A. And this video was broadcasting, and it was like our Highness was saying things that it was kind of fabricated, we call it. Not true. That doesn't matter to them. Whoever attacked has an agenda. And before I speak about that, let's talk about the delivery mechanism. How did they do these things? Because cyber attack is a very highly technical process that you have to carry. But you have now the scenario, you have the agenda, how you deliver it. The plan to do that, usually it doesn't take a month to do it or something. It's probably started a long time ago. Before the summit, the Riyadh summit event, Islamic summit event, probably it took 6 months to a year to prepare for something like this. I mean, it's like a Hollywood movie. I don't know if you've seen the movie called Walk the Dog or something. Who is it? I forgot the name. Famous actors, to create a scenario to launch a war. And that was during Clinton administration. And the delivery mechanism is that, all right, let's send this virus, this worm, and this payload that contain the video and send it there to the server, which is the computer net system of QNM. And we will have a time bomb or something, a timetable, when to launch and what day, what time. Everything is planned. So it's been planned for a long time. What happened after the video released? Immediately, and of course the eyes and the attention went to 4 countries, which is we call them the blockade countries. It happened from 3 countries plus, of course, another non-GCC country. We didn't expect that because everything is normal, everything is good, everything is clear. So how did it happen? So we call it the logistics of carrying the mission. And they, of course, they have done the reconnaissance, they have done their homework, they knew where are the weaknesses, where the zero-day holes and all that. And they said, well, unfortunately, there is a remote access by one of the people that connected to the server, of QNM. And therefore, let's focus on that and deliver. First, let's access that with the iPhone. It was an iPhone. And let's deliver that to this person who's connected remotely with the server. And from there, of course, it was an easy matter because its mission was to go down to the server, and another, activities of what the code is indicating and what to say is to take control and escalate, and probably to control of the network manager account. And that's where they managed to, somebody taking control of your devices that launch a missile attack, and this is going, the left is going right, And this has happened if you look at different launches of wars. Happened in Syria, happened in Iraq, where the radar system was jammed, or the sky was clear, but the planes were bombed. This is where you prepare for a war, all right? And in this case, it was an agenda that when the video came out, it was a mission accomplished practically. Let's blockade Qatar, air, sea, land. And I remember I was going to the supermarket and there was nothing on the shelves. Imagine, 90% of our food was coming through the border of Saudi Arabia, especially from UAE and Saudi. No food. I mean, that's a critical infrastructure. You're blocking 3 critical infrastructure. Your air continued, but it was a logistical nightmare for the Qataris. And then shipping was an issue, but then that's okay. We managed to get some. Thank God that the port was ready to do the logistics. And then the land. We couldn't travel, we couldn't do anything, and that was, by itself is a nightmare. Now, I don't want to call names, but if you see the history of that case, and what happened is that UAE was named by the Washington Post, which is still have to be legally confirmed. And we know that the FBI, the Interpol, and some other agencies, cybersecurity, they came to Qatar and they did investigate the case and did forensic analysis, and they found out that the use of IP address from UAE and from, probably there was a proxy, a third party group did the work for them. Now we we know that the problem right now, what's happening with the cyber war and cyber attacks, access to the latest technology. I mean, there are right now companies in the world, I don't know if they're real, but they can sell you these tools, the latest tools. What do you need? You have the money and you are a government establishment, you can sign this agreement. And you can have the latest software packages that can infiltrate any network system, any devices that you have. It's amazing what the tools are doing. They are embedding them even in this electronic cyber war, you know? And it's getting very serious. And countries who are not capable to acquire them, they are at the weaker, I call it, you know, position. So the tools are very important. The current latest technologies we have, if you can get them, fantastic. It became part of your defense strategy and protection. Of course, other countries, they use it for cyber attack and cyber war. You know, that's part of the, it became part of the strategy for a total defense system that you have. Now, few food for thought, I call it. The establishment of this command and control system center is critical. Why? Because it's not only for small, if you've seen it in the big countries, Homeland Security have it, the UK have it, France have it, every country almost that advanced they have it. Third world countries started to look at this. Of course, it requires huge investment, labor, qualified people. We are a small nation and small population when it comes to Qataris. Unfortunately, we don't have many Qataris that are in cybersecurity, except recently in the past 5 years, I graduated under my hand 100 women and men, young Qataris, in the cybersecurity. They got their bachelor degree and they are working everywhere in the government, which is very important for us. But if you create a command, control and command center, or national center for cyber, you need to have your local force. It's like an army, you know? You hire your local people as much as you can, because they are the ones who can protect the country. It doesn't mean that you are not going to be dependent on foreigners. Of course you are. That's always happened, but you know, that should be the direction to do that. And they have to be trained and qualified and paid differently, by the way. And the second thought is that how can you, I mean, I've seen this mistake always happen, is that ministries, especially government agencies, they create databases and they put it all in one server. It's like you have your critical databases in one place. There's no redundancy in terms of backup, and even if they do backup, they do online backup, which is more dangerous because these viruses and worms can travel, you know, online to the backup system. So you need to create silos, you know, with a database for something specific like email, do that. You want the server, do that. So different server, different, and they should not be connected. I'll tell you a case, another case quickly. There was an attack on Aramco and Qatar Gas. We look at the Qatar Gas, which is a Qatari, and I know the case very well. The only one that was affected is the one that we call them downstreams, which is, you know, your management, your marketing, your administration. They were affected by that worm or virus, you know. I think it was called flame. But there is another one, we call it Shalom, but I'm not sure, you know, about the names, but I call it flame. It hit Aramco, but Qatar Gas, they were lucky. That kind of attack did not go upstream. And that means it's going to Ras Laffan, going to all the plant and the gas production there. So imagine that if that shut down, what would happen to the country? So that kind of separation of network, as an example I'm saying, it happened not because they really separated it. It's just because there was a delay in the implementation of the plan of connecting downstream with upstream. Because of that delay, this happened, that they were lucky. That, okay, 30,000 computers shut down and replaced, that's fine. We go back to paper and pencils and all that. But anyhow, the upstream was supposed not to be touched. That's my end of my presentation in such a way. I'm running fast. I can speak for the whole day, but I would like to stop here. These are my two books if you are interested to get them. And the second one is bigger, the cyber war, and mostly focused on our DECC countries. Of course, it covers a lot of things. That one has exercises of hacking. So I teach hacking, by the way, and cyber crime courses. And I did put some examples of practices if you are interested in hacking. Let's call it black hat hacking. But first book is 2016, second book 2017, and the first book I predicted, which was a general reference book, I predicted the cyber attack will continue. It will continue. I mean, we are now getting back together as DECC countries, but who knows? We have a big event coming up, right? The World Cup. I mean, imagine if one stadium shuts down and we're supposed to play the matches. Your transport system does not work. I mean, you have to think of those, I'm sure our organizations, the World Cup and all that, they have looked at all kinds of experiences happen in Brazil or Russia or all that. But that's different. I mean, we cannot compare ourselves to Russia or Brazil. It's still a small country. It still can happen here. So we have to really take care of ourselves in such a manner that this event, which is the major event for the whole world, not just for Qatar, it's our image, and it has to be successful, it has to be good, it has to be clear with no incident of such a cyber attack that took place in 2017, and it might repeat and happen again, and we wish, inshallah, will not happen again. Thank you very much, and I'm waiting for any question you have. All right. Questions? Yes.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله.
عليكم السلام.
مرحبا أستاذ محمد محمود كوار قسم البحوث والدراسات كلية الشرطة.
أهلا وسهلا.
أهلا بك.
أهلا وسهلا.
دكتور، بخصوص الهجمات السيبرانية التي تحدث عنها، هناك إشكالية كبيرة تقع بخصوص التمييز بين الجانب الإلكتروني والحرب السيبرانية. دائما بعض الجهات يقولون بأن الحرب السيبرانية تدخل في إطار المجال الدفاعي والأمني للدول والمؤسسات أكثر من الهجمات الإلكترونية التي تتعرض لها المؤسسات الأخرى سواء كانت مدنية أو عسكرية. نريد تمييز في هذا الموضوع حتى نستفيد لو تكرمتم.
Yeah, I think the question is, what's the difference between electronic attacks, electronic, and the cyber attack? So, when you say electronic, I mean, if you define what's electronic, I mean, it's electronic, anything goes through the devices and goes, at the end of the day, you will use the internet. If you use the internet, you go cyber. That's why it is cyber. As soon as you say cyber, that's the www that you deal with. But if you say electronic, okay, I can do electronically, like, electronic cyber war. Electronic cyber war, which is the Army and the Navy and Air Force and all those, they are equipped with these electronic surveillances, electronic jamming, and now the new technology is electronic cyber attack. They can launch the same viruses and the same worms from the airplane. You don't need the internet to do that. You know what I mean? That's the difference. That's electronic attack. Using the electronic, the technology, to do that without going through the internet. Answer the question?
Hi, thanks for the talk.
Sure.
So during the blockade, we saw an increase in the use of social media as part of the repertoire for cyber attack. So as states broaden their horizons and start to use things like perception management and social media to engage those sorts of things, what can we do as a state to prevent these sorts of attacks?
Now, I can give you a case or two cases. In the United States recently, you know what happened with Trump, that he attacked all the social, especially, those technologies like Facebook and Twitter and all that, because they wanted to take that legal term of holding them responsible for the social media and all that. But it wasn't successful. And when you lost, before he loses, Twitter canceled his account. So, if you do that in a democratic country, especially in the United States and Europe, there are different democracies, of course, it goes against the first constitution or the amendment, the First Amendment, which is freedom of speech. That's the thing. And I teach cybercrime. Do you know how many cases here we have and around the world of what you're talking about? Because of people tweeting and retweeting and saying things that causes them. I can't imagine the cases that in court because of that. Bullying and stalking. China, if you take China as a case, China has a total control of any dissemination of information, and they blocked all the applications that are made in the West. The reason for security, of course, but they created their own application, their own browsers, and 1.5 billion people are using them. The idea here is that the state can do some of the, kind of measures, imposing them on the society. But I believe the technology is moving so fast. There are always ways to go around it. If you block me, I go through a VPN. If you block me, I go through third-party proxies. The technology allows you to have that kind of freedom. I remember the voice over the internet was illegal in the GCC countries. It was illegal. I was the head of the telecommunication at the Gulf Cooperation Council. I stayed there 8 years, head of the computer and telecom. It was illegal to do voice over the internet. Now everybody using the internet to make calls and simply, you can put measures, but it's futile. I don't think it will continue forever. Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate your attendance, and thank you, Milipol, for organizing this, Vanessa, and being the first speaker. Wake you up a little bit. You need your coffee now. Thank you very much.